Hey, you guys. Let's see. All right, y'all. So we're getting ready for the event tonight. Excuse me, come through here. Real quick, just a few things to point out. This is some things that you're missing, some available deals, some of the sponsor info. You can also sign up on our website at LA Northshore RIA for our email. Getting ready. I'm gonna get you guys set up so I can get things rolling. We got Brent and Adam here.
We'll trade for a new Ford.
All right, you guys, let's get rolling. I know we're gonna have some people. Hey guys, I'll get this down here for y'all. So, I know we're gonna have some people rolling in. No big deal with that. If we need to, people may fill in the little extra chairs. Anyway, welcome. I'm seeing some new faces. How many of y'all is it your first time to Northshore Arena? Good, that's all I like seeing. So my name's Courtney Fricky. I pedal on the Northshore Arena. We meet 2 to 3 times a month. It's free for you guys to attend. Got Facebook Live, right? It's free for you guys to attend. The whole goal was to get away from something that was come, we're going to charge you a course. You can learn about real estate, but it's free the first time. The second time it's $500, and the next time it's your life savings, right? Like, I can't tell you, whenever those come into town, it takes twice I've had to talk myself down on the ledge of going and stirring something in the back seat. You're like, kind of question, right? Because it's just one of those things where it's like, real estate can change your life. I don't know about you guys, but it changed my life. And so it's one of those things where I wanted to create something here on the North Shore. The North Shore is a viable market where we have a lot of us who are investing, who want to invest. And so, anyway, so these meetups, they're free to attend. We do have some local sponsors who help, because obviously there's some cost to things like this, like running this room and stuff. So back on the table, so the sponsor table, we do have some of this year's sponsors' info, like their cards. So we've got Mr. Bob Norton. He's a real estate specific CPA. So if you're like, hey, I'm starting to invest and my CPA doesn't know what I'm doing, it doesn't understand. Actually, you were the first CPA who knew what wholesaling was, and I said, ding, 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 I think we have a ringer, let me like vet this guy a little bit more, and I started using them for my own self, because every other CPA was like, you doing what? Like, you're not flipping it, but you're flipping it. Anyway, so we are, so it is free. Look, how have you heard about us? Facebook, Meetup, Bigger Pockets, our website. Check us out. We do have you can sign up back there for our newsletter. I promise you I don't have more time to send out anything more than 1 email a month. And even then, it probably will go to your spam folder, because I haven't figured that part out yet, right? I'm really not trying to spam you guys. The goal is, let's get some good people in the room. Let's do some business together. The local sponsors, they are people, let's see some other ones. Mia, you walked in. Did you walk back out? Mia Rogers. Okay, Mia Rogers, I'll point out again. She's a local realtor. She's an investor herself. She's licensed in Louisiana and Mississippi. We've got people who, we've got Christina Laurence, who's a property manager, who manages a good bit of rentals for other investors. We've got Anthony Quillen. I don't think we even have any of his cards right now because he's been so demand, but he is a contractor for the South Shore and the North Shore. How many of you guys saw when the Property Brothers came to New Orleans and did a show? You saw the teacher? He was one of their local contractors they use on their jobs. So he's got selfies with the brothers. I don't know which one. There's Mia, one of our sponsors. She's a local agent. So if you're looking at maybe trying to buy something or something like that where you need a local agent who understands what an investment deal is, personally invest yourself. You can't. That's so she's great. We've got Justin Harris. I don't see him in here, but he's actually a land wholesaler. So first of all, for you guys who are coming to learn about wholesaling, Justin, with my deals, I was getting a lot of land leads that I was like, I ain't got time to play with dirt, but I'm losing money. I'm leaving money on the table, right, with these land leads. I sent Justin a spreadsheet of some of my leads, and I think we've done like 4, 5, 6 deals together. And with the land leads I sent him, we've converted into actually making money off of them. So he's got a big stack of cards back there. His name's Justin Harris. So if you're like, hey, I am currently wholesaling, or I'm thinking about getting into wholesaling, and you want to have someone who, maybe you're like, I don't understand the land deals, but I want to still make money off of it, he's a good resource to have, because that's all he does as a wholesaler. He just focuses on land. And then we've got Sean Hughes, he's a local realtor who actually works with military families. So especially if any of you guys along those lines, because here we've got a lot of people who are stationed in the area. I think I've got everyone covered. If I'm missing someone. Oh, the last one. So my company, Deep Roots Property Solutions, I've got a clear jar back there. I specifically, wholesaling is one of the strategies. I'm also a cash buyer. So if you want to add one, like even your first person to your cash buyers list, I've got a stack of my cards back there, a few in my pocket. I have cash, I do buy on the North Shore. I don't really touch the South Shore at all. So as far as that, if you want a cash buyer, I am one. Got cards back there. I also wholesale frequently just on the North Shore. So that clear jar back there, if you want to be added to my cash buyers list, you can grab it. I already see that my stack of papers is gone. I have, right now, before I jump into, so next I'll jump into who has a deal, I've got a duplex in Tangent Hill Parish. So if you are, if you're a cash buyer and you're looking, so just speaking of cash buyers right now, I have a duplex in Tangible Hill Parish available right now. Coming soon, I'm going to have a cheap mobile home. I'm talking cheap mobile home in Lacombe, and then I'm going to have a duplex in Slidell. That's coming up. And for those of you who are asking, my old Mandeville flip has already been assigned, and that cheap 3-bedroom, 2-bath has already been assigned, and the Lacombe package deal just closed, so it is signed and sold. So, so I know some of you guys will come and go, hey, you still have this? So those are some statuses. If you're interested in any of the available, soon-to-be available stuff, come see me. Like I said, if you want to buy stuff on the North Shore, that's the only market I work. I've got a clear jar in the back. But that's enough about all that. Anyone else have a deal? Aaron?
I typically do wholesale and flipping on the Mississippi coast, so I do have some flyers with a bunch of deals that we have going on. I think this flyer has 7 or 8 deals on it. So if you're interested in something in Gulfport, Biloxi, we actually have one in Poplarville still. I had it last month and last year. A bunch of Biloxi, some Gulfport, and Ocean Springs. So if you guys are looking at investing in the coast, give me a shout.
All right. And Sharon, what you got? I know you got one.
Hi, I'm Sharon Rock. I'm doing a lot of stuff on the North Shore. And so I have one, it's a package deal that we're working on moving. It's more of a buy and hold situation. So, but you can also have the opportunity to move the house and mobile home off the property. It does have 2 addresses. So for new construction, but also rental property, you have that opportunity to rate of return on the house is right around 8 to 9%, depending on what direction you go. And then you also have the opportunity for the trailer, which is right around 13 to 14%. And then you can easily clear the the renovations that need to go into it in the first couple of years. And like I said, you just have to move them. You can also run out and return investment on those, and then you can also rebuild it for into, like I said, construction. So if you're interested in those, it's over in Paddington on 1077, really close to Ann and I, if you're really familiar with that area. And they also have a big new construction area that's much more too. So if you need more information, I'll have some flyers from that as well.
Excellent. You know what I meant to tell you? I walked that one a while back. I walked that one over a year and a half ago. Fun fact, right? Kevin, you got one?
I got 3 actually. Unfortunately, they're all on the South Shore. I got a utility flip that I'm looking to assign contract, a battery flip that I'm looking on joint venturing with another investor. We're looking to assign that, and I've got a buy and hold turnkey rental in Marrero, West Bank. I'm probably going to end up keeping that one. It's 2% rule, so
Oh, that's great.
if anyone comes across anything like that, I'd definitely be interested.
Right. We're going to add some more chairs. We're probably going to have to bring some up here to the front. It's always a possibility. It's a good thing, right? So if you have a chair next to you, you don't mind kind of like squeezing in because some people are coming in looking for some spots. But I love it. We'll bring some of those up here to the front too if we need to. And so anyone else have a deal? Anyone have an on-market deal? Any realtors with an on-market deal? Because I'll open. Go ahead, man.
Hey, my name is Al. I'm from the realtor for the county. And I do a lot of work on the South Shore. I do have a vacant lot in the ninth ward in New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 30 by 110.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Excellent.
19 was used.
So if any of these spark your interest, when we do the meet and greet next, go to those people. Say, hey, can I get your card? Hey, can I get some information? Basic. You may not be able to get every detail right now. You may have to, more specifically follow up in a few. Thank you. Anyone else have a deal? I don't want to leave anyone else. You guys like hearing about the local deals that they're out there, right? It's good because you're like, man, because right now I'm looking for either a single family that has an in-law suite. I'm looking for either commercial mixed use, so maybe commercial and then you can live up top, or duplex. I'm a picky buyer. Let's just face it, I'm a picky buyer. Anyway, next thing, look, I've got a stack of cards back there that has like our website on it. If you haven't visited our website, you're missing out. We've got a blog on there. They've got a presentation that I'm going to put on there tonight. A lot of our speakers give us stuff. Like we've had attorneys give us contracts. We've had, speakers give, this is the packet I use for this. So if you want, you can find that on our website to where it's like downloadable, whatever for you to view it. So we have 2 more events in July. Next Tuesday, we've got an REI Lunch and Learn. That's like a real estate investor's basic lunch and learn. I do it once a month. Typically it's at the 3rd Tuesday. It's during lunchtime on a Tuesday at a local restaurant. You can order food if you want to. It's Mexican. It's Taco Tuesday, right? And that topic is going to be how to find your first deal. And then what I'm really excited about, how many of you guys have heard about our Build and Brew that we're doing? Any of you guys heard about it? So we're partnering with Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
So July 20th, it's a Saturday this month, you can actually volunteer with us. So a lot of local professionals, real estate professionals, and real estate investors are coming alongside us, and we're actually going to be doing the job, the build site, and the restore, the secondhand store. So if you're interested in volunteering for that, it's a great way to give back with the language that we love, right? Real estate. And so come on in, guys. We're going to pull some more chairs. We're going to get some to the front. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to real quick. How many of you guys? So a lot of you said it's your first time. How many of you guys are looking to do your first real estate investing deal? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you guys have done maybe 1 to 10 deals? Okay. How many of you guys have done 10 to 25 deals? Raise your hand. Okay, we've got a few people. How many of you guys have done more than 25 deals? Okay, so we've got a mix. So you see that we've got a mixture in this room. Here's the thing is, we've got local professionals in this room. You've got new investors. You've got experienced investors. We've got investors in this room who I know have done over hundreds of deals. I know that we've got lenders in this room. I know that we've got realtors in this room. I know that we've got property managers, whatnot. I'm just seeing some faces that I know. We've got buyers in this room. How many of you guys are a cash buyer? Raise your hand. I myself am one. Excellent. So, what I'm about to say is I'm going to let you guys loose. What we're going to do is we're going to get some more seats added in here. But what we'll do, guys, we can even prop open that little door if we need to because there's a patio right here. For the next 30 minutes, I want you guys to take some time and get to know the people next to you, collect some business cards. On the table back there, I've got a stack of my cards if you want. Some of the other sponsors have cards back there, because that's just a sponsor table. But look, if you're shy, talk to at least one person for me. If I notice you're shy, I'm going to be that one person, right? Or the other people who are a little friendly, go be that one person. All right, so look, the next 30 minutes, let's get up, let's talk, hand out. We've got some water back here, and then what we'll do is at 7:15, I'm going to call you guys back in, and we'll get started, okay? All right.
So we got him.
What I'm going to do guys, I'm going to actually... All right, you guys, this is what you're missing. Packed room, 70 plus people. This is what you're missing. You get to get the content, but you're not going to get this. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you, man. The buyer and the seller.
I got you.
So there's one who bought it, so whatever you said this was the buyer, and then they were the seller the next time. Yeah, so let me get these chairs out and stuff so that, and I'm happy to answer them, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
And look, worst case, you can always grab my card and get with me if after tonight.
Yeah.
That works too.
That would be good.
No, you're good. Hey, I can separate it.
Where's your card at, baby? Thank you so much, darling. All right, Courtney, thank
You want all three of them?
good problem to have, you guys, when you have to find more chairs.
Courtney, I just put it against the wall.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've never met Courtney or that She invited me way back when.
guys. In a few minutes, we'll get started. Just a reminder, this is what you're missing. See, everyone sat down because we needed to get more chairs. We're pulling every raggedy chair out. All right, we're getting started soon.
That's okay. It's still running.
If you have an extra seat, if you have an open seat next to you, can you raise your hand? Well, we got some open seats. Okay. So look, yeah, so we've got enough seats for everyone. It's just by the skin of our teeth. I was going to patio furniture next. I said, clear out the back. And it's anyway, look guys, I dropped down the AC a little bit. It's probably me busting my butt. I'm a little hot. But the body heat and stuff, I want to make sure we're nice and cool. I'm going to shut that door so that it can kind of cool down a little bit now that the body heat in here has settled. But if you came a little bit late, I'm Courtney Fricky. I pin on the Northshore Rio. We have 2 to 3 meetups each month. They're free to attend. And the whole goal here, you guys, is to work alongside of each other. I'm looking at a few of you guys who I've done deals with. I've talked on the phone with. I've referred, people to. Look, the whole goal is if you need something, ask. We moved all the info stuff over here. I've got the live stream going, so if you are on Facebook, find Northshore Real Estate Investors Association page, because you can actually go back and watch some of these videos. Like for example, if you're like, man, I really wanted to come next week or next month, and the main, because we just live stream the main events like this. So you can go back. If you go back and watch, we started doing that like November. You can watch when Rick Regan, the attorney, came and spoke on bond for deed. We have Mr. Bob Norton came and spoke on opportunity zones and maximizing with taxes, like being tax savvy as an investor. So much great stuff that you can access. Here's the thing is, the goal has always been for this to be free and us to not be pitching you anything to buy. The local sponsors, these are people that can actually help you. We're still just not really selling you anything. I'm not going to say, hey, to call me, it's going to cost you $500 to call me. No.
Are we not doing that?
No, we're not doing that. We stopped, right? Right, it's $10 now, right? I'm working on my hourly rate, right? So these guys, what I love about these guys is they don't censor anything except for the phone call. Okay. It's probably me. It's been me the last few meetings. I'm like, my phone's usually not in my pocket, right?
You have to get a charity jar in the back.
So I met Adam when I had some Mississippi leads. I just worked the North Shore, so I kept getting some Mississippi leads that I'm like, they need to go to someone. So I looked, who's the best marketer in Mississippi, and I called Adam, and I was like,
So that wasn't me, that was Brett. It just rang to my phone.
It just rang to his phone, and I was like, look, I got a lead over in Picayune or wherever, and he took it and ran with it. But he started becoming my Mississippi guy, started getting interacting, and then anyway, long story short, I mean, I've really enjoyed getting to know these guys for the past 6 months, 8 months, a year, I don't know, something like that. And so I've enjoyed getting to get to learn from the guys. And what I can say is, they don't censor themselves. If any of you guys are in like investor Facebook groups, they have Real Estate Roundup. It's a free group to attend. They got like 6,000-7,000 people in it.
It's right,
5, okay, something like that. And so they do a weekly. Actually, what they're doing here right now is the weekly Q&A. Weekly or monthly? Weekly Q&A. They do on Tuesday nights. You get their attention. Like you can ask questions. This is free stuff. But they've also done some other things. Like they're doing so one of the things I want to share about, they have an event in October. We're not selling this to you, but what I'm telling you is there's things that are worth spending money on when it comes to real estate education. And so I said, hey guys, I don't want you to share about it because I don't want people to think, oh, the speaker's pitching. Oh, they brought in a speaker who's dropping this, this much for a course or this much for an event. What I'm saying is, I bought a ticket. I'm going. Because they're bringing in some pretty heavy hitters when it comes to wholesaling. How do you guys ever heard of Max Maxwell?
Yes.
Yes? Yes, or Henry? Okay, he was in your wedding, right? He was in his wedding.
I said yes, I got it.
You were in my wedding.
Okay.
You were there.
But his wife is Cece, not Adam. So, I mean, last month, Mr. Leon Johnson, he's one of my mentors. He's actually a partner of mine. That's Adam's father. He's hands down one of the most experienced guys when it comes to creative real estate. He's going to be speaking at the event. We've got Brent Daniels. We've got, a lot of people I highly respect in the field. They're bringing. And guys, it's in Biloxi. I've traveled 4 times already this year for conferences, and trust me, they were not in Biloxi. Okay, it involved an airplane to get there. Airplane, hotel, Uber, the whole 9 yards. So look, that's the Real Estate Roundup Live event. If that's something you're interested about, is there still tickets?
Oh yeah,
There's still some tickets?
a
A little bit over 100. It's down at the Beau Rivage in October. What they're doing is, guys, they're only going to be here speaking for a little bit over an hour. That's a 2 to 3 day event.
3 full days.
3 full days.
Full.
Something to consider.
I want to pack a lunch.
Yeah, right. Full days. They're bringing in some great speakers. So look, this is not them pitching that. This is me saying, if you want to continue your education, this is something I'm willing to get behind and say, I put my money where that is. Because as you guys heard, how many of you guys were here for last month, Mr. Leon? How many of you guys enjoyed that? That guy's really experienced. The guy's been investing for like 40-something years. And he's still, how many conferences has he been to this year?
Oh, this year, that's a countable number. 8 or 9.
He reads for 2 hours a day in real estate investing. This guy is who I call to be like, hey, how do I do this? You know what I mean? Same with these guys. They call on him, and he's still going to the conferences and reading. The struggle these days is knowing which ones are worth your time and your money, right? Not the one that's here's what you need to learn about. Here's the things that you're going to need to learn about, but we're not teaching it to you. We're just telling you things you need to learn, right?
And there will be no $40,000 upsell.
Right. There's no $40,000. Anyway, so I just wanted to clear there with that. I'm excited about their event in October because it's close to home, and I'm not having to fly to another state or whatever. Well, Mississippi, okay, whatever. But I'm not having to go fly down to Florida or Texas or wherever I went this year. And
Can I throw in one thing?
Yeah.
So, the only suggestion I would make, and it's not even really a pitch, but how many of you guys have been to a real estate conference? Okay, you guys can attest to this. So for those of you that have not, if you're this close, it's going to be very tempting to just drive back at night and go back the next morning. I highly recommend staying somewhere, whether it's at the Beau or another hotel, whatever. Because if you've not been to one, you'll learn that there's actually 2 seminars. There's the one that we will put on during the day that's on schedule, and then there's one that you'll have at breakfast, lunch, and dinner time and after hours, which oftentimes is just as valuable as the actual seminar that you're going to. So,
with the people that are there that you're getting to meet and whatnot. Anyway, without further ado, look, these guys, I'm excited to bring them to y'all. I know a lot of you, it's your first night here or whatnot. Like I said, they do have a presentation we're going to put on the website.
yeah.
That is basically this speech put in a presentation. But there's some great stuff to be had. But anyway, thank you guys for coming all the way from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Mr. Brent Moreno and Adam Johnson.
Thank you, Courtney. So I will tell you guys one of the first and most important lessons, because I know that a lot of you guys, raise your hand if you have not done a deal. And then keep your hands up. Who's done less than 5? Raise your hand. Okay. One of the hardest things for me to learn in the beginning was focus. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But also admitting what I was good at and what I was not good at. And what I am not good at is staying on topic when I'm talking. So we're going to go through and use some notes as we go along just for y'all's benefit. Because sometimes, y'all heard my dad speak last month? Yeah, so it's in my blood to just wander off a little bit. So, you want to tell them a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I got started in real estate investing in 2017. Yes, 2017. It's not very long ago. I got my first book in January that he sent me. We'll get into that in a second. But before that, I did over a decade in experiential marketing, and basically what that is, if you've ever been to a music festival or a sporting event or anything like that, and you see the big trailers and production that they have for fans or whatever the case, come hang out, interact with the brand. I did that for a long time for like Anheuser-Busch, 5 Hour Energy. I did some stuff for U.S. Army on the NASCAR and the drag racing circuits. So I traveled all over the country, had a great time, had a blast, made very good money, but it got to the point where I got tired of staying in a hotel room. I think at one point in time I did over 300 nights in a hotel room. Had a lot of points. I still got some points.
Yeah, you were a millionaire.
Yeah, I was a points millionaire at one point in time.
It's like being a millionaire in Monopoly money. Only
Yeah.
matters when you wanted to, right?
Yeah. I almost had enough points to get a free Harley Davidson at with Hilton. Almost.
Really?
Yeah. It's 3 million points. I think I had like 2.2.
Just short.
Yeah, just short.
About 800.
Since then we've gone on a lot of vacations, so I've blown through a lot of points. But anyways, so I did that for a very long time, and then Max, who a lot of you guys said you knew, was a good friend of mine. So he used to do experiential marketing alongside of me. So we worked a lot of events together. Became very close friends. We both had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. And I saw one day he posted on Instagram, he's like, I just bought this house for $17,000. So I called him up and I was like, wait. Like most people, I thought, well, if you're going to get in real estate, you got to have a lot of money to buy a house, flip it, put it. You know, it's always interested me. I've always loved the HGTV. I just still haven't figured out how to flip a house in 30 minutes yet. I'll get there one day. But I saw that post and it made me. I gave him a call and I said, hey, next time you come across a house like that, I'd love to put some money in on it or buy it or we go in together or whatever the case. He's like, man. It'd be easier if I just show you what I'm doing next time you're home. I said, all right, so I drove up to Winston-Salem, spent a couple of days with him when he was just getting started. I said, I've been making $20,000 a month. And if any of you guys ever saw Wolf of Wall Street, I was kind of like Jonah Hill. I was like, you showed me checks for 20 grand. I'm quitting my job right now. And he's like, pulling up his things. I said, this was 8,000, this one was 13, this one was 10. I'm over here going, man, this is, if he can do it, I know I can. So I called Adam up. Knew Adam had been in real estate for a long time. I just thought they bought rentals and they did some flips. They got money, whatever. At the time I met Adam, he owned some H&R blocks and drove a BMW, and I was like, you know, he's impressive. I'd go to him with business ideas. You know, all kind. He'd help me with little bitty things here and there. And I was like, hey, you ever heard of wholesale? And he goes, oh yeah, I do it all the time. And we've been friends for like 5 or 6 years. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that's what I do all the time. I was like, you never told me anything about it. You never said you were interested in it. He'd gotten so tired of helping so many people try to get their first deals and people not taking action on the advice that he would give them that he just gave up helping people altogether. And then I come along and he's like, here, go read this book, because that was a filter to basically see if I was really interested or not. So I ordered the book on Amazon. It was like $4. It was like flipping properties version 2. It was really nothing special. Just kind of basically gave me the basics of what wholesaling is. So I read that in 3 days and I came back with questions, and ever since then I was like, I was hooked. I studied for about 3 months before I took action. My first month I made $20,000. I was ready to quit my job then. He told me not to. Okay. And then come December I had about $60,000 in escrow closing in South Carolina. My company called me and said, we need you to go to Vegas for a bowl game. And it was like right around the time I was planning on going home for the holidays. I said, this considers my 2 weeks. And so I've been fired from my job, I guess, since November of 2017. So I spent about 6 months basically doing when I was in a hotel room, I was calling people, setting appointments. And then when I was going back home, I was going on those appointments and locking down deals. Ever since then, I've been hooked, still obsessed, still study all the time. I'm learning new things every day. That's a little bit about me. I know that was long, but
I will say this, Brent has impressed me more than anybody else as far as getting started. But I will tell you, for anybody new that's looking to get traction, he was obsessed. We went to the draft together. That was one of one of your events in 2017. I think it was April of 2017. I'm sure they probably got a record of it somewhere. But we were going to the draft, and we spent, I don't know, 50 some odd hours in a vehicle in 6 or 7 days. And we got to a point, we were about, I think, an hour outside of Philadelphia the first time. And I looked at him and I said, hey man, you got any like music or anything we can listen to? Because it was all real estate. But that's how obsessed he was, like driving the 16-year person nuts. Because we were just, it was nonstop, like, oh my God, I need a break, I need some coffee, I need some music, like whatever. But that's what he did, and that's why he had the success that he did so fast. I've been doing real estate off and on for, I don't know, 16 and a half years, getting close to 17 years. Well over 500 single family deals. Done some bigger projects, mobile home parks and things like that. Never really done any commercial stuff. And then I've had several other businesses, insurance offices, tax offices, things like that. Real estate has always been my passion because I love to help people. I know that's always, I used to hear people say that, and I was like, oh, it's so but that's the truth. You really do have an opportunity to help a lot of people in every aspect. You get to help your cash buyers with lifestyle and retirement. You get to help the homeowners. Like there's just so many things. You get to help the neighbors because half of the, or the majority of the properties we buy are not in tip-top shape. So you really do get to help a lot of people. And here lately, we've been able to help a lot of people get into the business, which has just been a very fulfilling thing. But that's a little bit about me. And so what we want to talk about tonight was finding.
Hold on. Go ahead and get your notepads out.
Yeah.
This stuff is groundbreaking, revolutionary, tip-top, like latest and greatest advice. I'm kidding. It's literally the simplest stuff you can do. It's been around, and you all know about it.
We had a few people that were on to you because they were like, what?
Yeah, here comes the sales pitch. Anybody that ever tells you they got a secret or new technique they're trying to sell you, it's not new. It's a free name. There's no secrets out there. We have the internet these days. Everything's out there pretty much for free. You just got to know how to use it, right? And take action on what you learn. The stuff we're going to teach, everybody knows. If you don't know, we're going to teach it anyway. But it's very few people do it, and that's the problem. I could sit here and lead you to water all day long, but you have to decide if you're going to drink it or not. Right? We tell everybody that does our mentorship programs, like, you're not going to learn anything new. The difference is you have accountability and somebody that's setting an action plan to you, and then somebody that's going to cuss you out if you don't actually do the things that you ask them to do or say you can't do. Just things like that.
Well, I was going to say the focus is the big one. That's where, because there's a lot of good information out there, figuring out how to put it into a focused plan of action. That's why tonight the presentation is very simple, but it's designed, right? So you can do real estate one of two ways. You can do it by default or you can do it by design. We try to make sure that everything we do, even down to what words we use and how we say them in a meeting with a seller, everything by design. Nothing by default, nothing left to chance, everything by design. So tonight, we've designed this presentation, hopefully, so that you guys can walk away with a very clear plan of action into exactly what to do to go get deals. And so, let's ask a question real quick. How many of you guys have trouble finding deals? Nobody.
You're lying.
I'm going to say,
Y'all, let's turn this thing around and y'all start talking. How many people would say that that's one of your things is either finding deals or finding deals consistently? Okay. All right, so here's lesson number one. You don't find deals, you find opportunities. And then you create the deal. So change your mindset completely. You do not find deals. You find opportunities that you take and create a deal with. And the reason I say that is because we changed the mindset. It was 2017-ish, 2016-ish. I used to get out of the car and, you give yourself that little pep talk. So I go in, work this deal, and buy this house. And I think I bought 28 deals that year. The next year, it was right around New Year's, so try to do a lot of reflection around New Year's and change the mindset. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go into each appointment, I'm going to be as helpful as I can wherever the dust settles and settles. So when I get out of the car now, I say, all right, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be the most helpful person I can be, even if the solution doesn't include me. And that first year we did that, I bought 43 houses and doubled the income. And helped a lot. It did more deals for free than I ever thought I would do in my lifetime. So change your mindset into going in to solve problems and create good deals out of the opportunities that you find. So let's talk about specifically driving for dollars. I think we both agree that's our favorite lead source. It's fun, it does so many things, especially if you're new. It really helps you learn and understand your market, the area, what's going on. There, you pass for sale signs, for rent signs. It's easy to find comps for a property when you're driving through the neighborhood. So how many people have done drive for dollars? How many have, well, keep your hands up. If you have not closed a deal from drive for dollars, put your hand down. All right, so you guys, there's always some questions as to, all right, I found these houses, what do I do? So let's go through that tonight and talk about specifically how to take those drive for dollars leads. We'll talk about how to find them, what to look for, but how to take those leads and convert them into cash, because that's what the goal is. So let's talk about a few things to look for.
I'm going to look for overgrown yards, which are really easy right now because, you know, if your house is like mine and it's been raining as much as it has, and then 2 weeks it looks like a jungle.
What's bad is when you get one of your own marketing pieces.
You know what we talk about?
I
When we
forgot
flip,
to filter myself out, dang.
you know, we flip houses for a living, and it took him like 3 years to put the light socket covers back on his house. Like,
I was in the middle of painting.
You'll get that later.
you know, house in disrepair, you know, anything from broken windows, tarps on roofs. I mean, you think of it, anything that's very easy to notice. Old vehicles, this is an important one. I'll let you kind of go into that.
So this one came from my nephew who was, I think he had just turned 12 at the time. He used to love to go drive for dollars with me. He would screenshot everything, take notes on the houses, and then anything, you know, I would pay him, and then anything we got, he got a bird dog fee. And we were out driving for dollars one day, and he said, oh, there's one right there. And I said, so there's a car sitting in the driveway. And he goes, well, yeah, but there's dust an inch thick, and the tag's expired. Guess who was right? Not me. It was expired tag. The tag was expired 2 years. Dust all over the vehicle, and I was driving right by it. So it's all those little details, but that's when we started checking car tags.
Mailbox overflow, especially in areas where they get, you know, somebody got a newspaper delivery at one point in time, and there's 30 of them piled up, or a mailbox is open and it's just over stuff. This happens all the time. Signs in windows, and be very mindful of those, because somebody can be fairly small or on weird parts of the house. But those are usually telltale signs that there's been a servicing company been through there, or they're getting evicted, or something of some sort. And I don't know what they have here, but in some other places they have, you know, color-coded signs. You know what the green sign means this, the orange one means this, so on and so forth, right? So know your market, know what your signs mean. You usually get out, like I used to just get out every sign I'd see, I'd go and read it. So I'd start being able to pick out what that was whenever I was driving around. Wheelchair ramps, obvious sign. There may be somebody looking to downsize, maybe moving to a senior home or something like that. No smoking signs, kind of the same way. That means they have oxygen in the house typically. Trash day is a great day to go driving around neighborhoods. So if you know what day that neighborhood gets trashed, drive around, look for the houses that don't have trash cans out. A lot of times that means there's nobody living there. Not all the time, but a lot of times. The house, usually if there's nobody living there and there's no trash cans out, the house is also in some kind of disrepair as well.
I'll say it's a real good indicator to take a closer look
Right.
at what's going on.
Hey, question. The deals that you guys do, is it mostly from the property owners, or is it mostly like foreclosures or bank-owned property?
It's all 90%, 99% of everything we do is from the owners.
From the
Yeah, from the
okay,
owners, yeah.
okay.
We do buy some foreclosures. We do some on the market deals. But most and some bank owned, but typically on the market and bank owned, when the economy is good like it has been, we don't even really look at them. The for sale by owners, we don't really look at them unless the sign is so faded that I got to get out of the car to see it.
Okay.
We just don't really fool with them right now.
Uh-huh.
We're firm believers. We're opposite. So like if everybody's digging, we want to zag. So like while everybody's going after on-market deals and bank-owned foreclosures, stuff like that, we want to go the other route and find other ways to drive their business. And when the market crashes, then we'll go back and start hammering the FSBOs, the listings, days, 250 days on the market, scroll through the picture, see if they're vacant. Right, we'll do that every now and then. And we pick up a few deals, but it's a lot tougher to pick up those deals when the economy's good. Now, when the economy is down again, when we're in that 2008, 2009, 2010.
And banks remember how tough it was?
Oh, gosh. Banks have extremely short memories. Because the same banks now that won't entertain what I feel like is me paying too much
Yeah.
are the same banks that were selling me properties for $4,000 and $5,000 in 2008, 2009, 2010.
So when the market crashes, the bank-owned property is a better deal.
Yeah.
One of the things for Drive for Dollars is a great filler for your schedule. So if you're going on an appointment, you should combine that with Drive for Dollars. And essentially what that means is, if you're going on an appointment, you should get there within 30 minutes early in that neighborhood. Just 15, 30 minutes, drive around that neighborhood and look. Because a lot of times, I would say pretty much every time, you're going to find another house. If that doesn't work out, you at least picked up another lead or two. As well as when you're on the appointment, always ask the seller if there's any other eyesores in the area, or if they know of any other empty houses. We picked up like 6 leads from one lady. It's like, oh, this house, they'll tell you the whole story. Yeah, the neighbors will tell you everything. So if you're driving around,
you don't want to know.
if you're driving for dollars and you see somebody out like breaking their yard or whatever the case may be, stop, talk to them. Guarantee you they will give you some kind of story about some heroin bust or something over here. They'll tell you everything you need to know about everybody else's business.
The time the cops busted the sheetrock in the ceiling because they had done a drug bust and they missed a guy in the attic, so they came back and busted out the sheetrock and he fell through. It's true story.
Oh my God.
They'll tell you everything.
One thing that's very important, and you'll notice that, so here's something to write down. You guys are going to take notes. Start making a list of people that you know that are on the road in your area, that you're looking for houses. All right, this is probably one of the #1 most overlooked resources in finding leads or getting leads, driving leads, whatever you want to call it. Anybody you know that's out on the road, that's county road, or parish road supervisor.
My job be correct when it comes to stuff like that. My bad.
Parish road supervisors, any kind of, I keep wanting to say county, any kind of parish workers, anybody that you know that is postal worker, a police officer, firefighter, letter carriers.
They're good.
Yeah, letter carriers are fantastic resources because they already, most of them, in my experience, already have a list of what's vacant. So those are all good ones. The landscapers are another one. Anytime, if you know any landscapers, they've already trained themselves to look for the same things that you're looking for. And just let them know that you'll give them a really good referral fee and you'll let them clean up the yard and pay them extra well to do it. So it's very beneficial to them. We've had a lot of success with landscapers. And don't be scared to stop and talk to people. So like if you go out on trash day and you run into, like what I recommend, take a cooler and have some different selections of drinks. Cokes, waters, whatever. And when you pass a garbage truck, jump out and in 60 seconds say, hey, what do you guys want to drink? Coke, water, whatever. Beer? I don't know. It's Louisiana. let me get the blender. I'll make you a hurricane. But give them a good cold drink because it's hot outside, and then say hand them a piece of paper that has not a business card. It needs to be some sort of a flyer, have a picture of a rundown house on it, and that you are paying $500 referral fees just for them to send you the address and a picture of it. And if you buy it, you'll give them $500. And just do it real quick in 60 seconds. But just adding that little bit of value and paying them up on the front end just a little bit, even if it's something just, hey, here's something cold to drink, goes a long, long way. And then, of course, there's Uber and Lyft drivers.
Yeah, that's by far my favorite. It's something I started right when I got started because I realized that I couldn't drive for dollars if I'm in New York City and run my
You
market.
could, just wouldn't be very
If
fast.
I'm in New York City, I'm in my, the market is in Columbia, South Carolina, so I started a Facebook group for Uber drivers. I didn't do this knowing anything about real estate at the time. What I would do is I'd come home, and my wife was in law school at the time, so I'd drop her off at law school, and I'm not just gonna sit at home and stare at the wall, so I just drive Uber while she's at school and make some money, pay the truck note, whatever. So I started a Facebook group just to try to network with people. I didn't know anybody in Columbia, South Carolina. So I was like, well, I can network with other Uber drivers, figure out what events are going on and stuff like that. When I started real estate, I realized really quickly like all these people do is drive around. That's it. So I started posting in the group, make $500 doing what you already do, and I started holding monthly meetings with Uber drivers, recruiting people to go out and drive and find deals for me. They'd send me addresses, I'd look up the owners, make phone calls when I'm in the hotel, set appointments when I'm coming back, over and over and over. Because all it takes is to get one or two of those people.
How you verify with them that the property closed when you paid?
So there's a lot of trust there, right? So there's a lot of, it usually only takes one person. And trust me, I had the same issue to where my first person that got paid, I gave her $1,000 instead of $500. And she posted a picture with a check and all this other stuff, and immediately I had people like, oh, y'all are in cahoots together, y'all just working together, that's not really happening. But I used her to kind of recruit people and talk to people, and she was kind of managing all the Uber drivers on a regular basis to where they knew her, they trusted her, they liked her, and then they believed in it. And then at the monthly meeting, I would literally have pizza, sodas, like I would just pay for whatever, everybody to come sit down and listen to what I was doing, what I was offering, right? So it takes time, it takes a lot of people, a lot of connections to finally find like, 2 or 3 good people, right? I use what I call the 3-foot rule. Somebody told me that Mary Kay invented it years and years and years ago.
I don't think she invented it.
But I never heard of it before, but this is kind of one of the things I like to use. If you're in my bubble, which means you're within arm's reach of me for more than a minute, I'm going to tell you who I am, what I do, and how I can help you and how you can help me. All right? There's a lot of power in that. One of our acquisition guys in North Mississippi was at the gas pump the other day. The guy had a brand new AC unit. He said, you install a new AC? He said, well, I just tore that one out. He said, I got a rental house I'm tired of. And I just complain. Well, hey, let me take a look at it. Maybe I can do something with it. Turns out to be a deal, right? Talking to somebody at a gas pump took him 5 seconds to say hello, who he was, what he does. That's it, right?
And that's a captive audience, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not
Maybe
going
a short
anywhere.
amount of time, but they're captive.
So if anybody's going to be around you, so every time I hop into an Uber, like I'm literally like, hey, I introduce myself. You ever see any vacant houses while you're driving around? Yeah, well, this is what I do, and this is how I can help you. You spot it, you send me the address, and sometimes you get people, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get people that send you hundreds. And that's really all you need, right? Just that 1 or 2 really good. That as long as you can hold up on your promises and actually get some deals done, they'll keep sending you leads all day, every day.
I will say this, one thing that it took me a little while to figure out is that going negative, which is a little bit of a negotiate technique, going negative on a lot of your, if you don't have some sort of a personal connection with that bird dog, right? Either you know them or you know somebody that knows them, whatever. Going negative in your approach, because if you come in too excited, they're gonna they react like you're pitching them an MLM just right off the bat. And they're gonna be like, whoa, 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 whoa. And a lot of times if you just say, hey, if you'll do this for me, if I buy it, I'll send you $500. Postal workers, police officers, firemen, a lot of them will throw up a wall real quick and say, well, we can't do that sort of thing. But if you come in with the approach of like, hey, I'm really trying to find some houses in the area, try to get this place cleaned up. I noticed, in the news, y'all had some folks that were squatting in a house, that were doing drugs and causing some problems. I'd like to help y'all clean that stuff up. And I'm buying all these vacant houses up one at a time. Now, I have some deals worked out with some other folks. Now, with you being a police officer or mailman or whatever, is there any reason, if you send me a lead that I buy, is there any reason you can think of I can't give you $500 like I do my other guys? Totally different reaction. Almost the same exact approach, but you're giving them a reason to think about why you can't, and for whatever reason, they can't come up with it when you ask them. It's like they get put on the spot, and they're like, no, I can't think of anything. But if you said, hey, I'll give you $500, send me some leads,
Yeah.
they'll throw up the wall real quick.
How do you suggest, see, Louisiana has a little different laws for dogging here.
Y'all have a lot of different laws.
Yeah. So how do you suggest in Louisiana that we can approach something like that when it's not legal to necessarily for dogging and paying a referral fee?
So what's
And
the,
maybe coordinate for sure.
Yeah.
Your licensed individuals cannot pay out a referral fee or a bird dog fee to someone. There's ways around it. For example, consultation fees, marketing fees. Let me say that when it comes to licensed people, like for example, Sharon, are you supposed to, if you were to send me a deal, I'm not licensed, but say you sent me a lead, I closed on, I can't just do you a referral fee because you're licensed, but what I can do is send you a marketing fee because you sent me a lead from marketing, you did some, you know what I mean?
I've been
Now,
wondering about that. I wasn't
So
sure.
if any of you are licensed, when it comes to wholesaling, it's a different ballgame. Because you've got your own regulations and stuff with the LREC and whatnot. So filter what they're saying through that, like you need to talk with your broker. But when it comes to it, but me as an unlicensed person, I can give bird dog fee and referral fees
All day long.
all day long. Bob, would you have any disagreements with that? You're both a broker and a CPA.
You're right, you just gotta call it, it's like a reimbursement or something like that.
Yeah.
But, of course, I'm a broker, so I would approve anything coming to my brokerage, right?
Right.
So that's it, get your
in
broker.
case any realtors are looking to make a swap, right?
Okay, because so Bob's a CPA and he's a broker, so he kind of sees it from both sides, like tax purpose and as a broker. Like as far as an unlicensed person,
When,
I don't know of any issues for an unlicensed person.
And
I mean, I can't help but drop $500 in the parking lot. Somebody found me.
I mean, everyone can be doing the bending snap to pick that up.
and I think there's a pretty drastic difference from what I understand, because we're not licensed, so, but from what I understand, there's a drastic difference if you pay a bird dog fee on a house that you purchase versus a listing. Because the listing is gonna be totally different, and that's, like, you can do marketing fees, but that's kind of that real gray area. If you're buying it, that's just an acquisition cost. And you can even do it where you do the contract in their name and let them assign it to you for $500. So there's a lot of ways around it. As long as you're buying it, it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, what you're saying is if you're a principal in the deal,
Yeah.
it's different than if you're just, because otherwise, real estate agents are licensed to actually sell between two different third parties, for themselves. And it's like, so that's regulated. But if you're actually part of the deal, then you can sell it for a profit, there's nothing with that. Real estate agents buy and sell stuff in their own name all the time, that's why I'm a broker, by the way. It's like, I'm buying and selling stuff for my own account.
Yeah.
And I get paid a commission to buy my own property. It works great. So, but that's being a principal in the deal. If you're not a principal in the deal, then you have to come up with some other
Get a little more
ideas
creative.
to get a little more creative on how to get around that.
Does that
Like you
It's complied with.
and
the marketing officer.
I have a real silly question. So I'm not completely clear on what the wholesaling is. Like, can you just explain that a little bit more?
So, and thank you for asking that, by the way. So basically what wholesaling is, it's just like wholesaling in any other market. It just, for whatever reason in housing, it gets more confusing. But basically you're buying at a deep discount and selling at a discount. And you're not selling to the end users.
Most of the
Right.
time.
Most of the time. Sometimes you are, but it's very rare. So what you're doing is you're kind of like the middleman in any kind of business, any kind of industry. You're buying from, in our case, the sellers are going to be the manufacturer.
Right.
You're buying and redistributing to an investor that's going to turn around and make more money with it. Hopefully, that's the plan. And you just get a little piece for being in the middle. But your risk is much smaller. Your barrier of entry is much lower.
Okay.
So you're not doing any obligations or anything to them?
No, we,
Get the property and then sell it?
not for
wholesaling.
wholesale. Yeah, if you do anything, I know, like occasionally we'll clean one up. But typically if like I have to touch something, then we're gonna fix it up, so. Otherwise, it's gonna be sold like just as it sits.
So what you're doing is though, you're not selling a property, you're selling a contract. You're selling your interest in that property from your piece of paper, basically. All you're doing really is selling the paper, so don't ever market it like I'm selling a property, because you're not. You're selling your interest in a property.
Because you don't own the property.
So you have to
don't
have-
own the right to buy it.
You have to have bargain consideration, which is why earnest money deposits are very important. You don't, now I don't know what the law is here, but most of ours, I mean, you can put $10 in Mississippi, but $100 is usually what we go with on all of our contracts. So all I really have in that deal is a little time, a little bit of money, a little bit of energy. I take that contract and I go market it to my investors. I have this deal at this price. Are you interested? Yes, and I just take the spread. So if I ask them like $10,000, I sell it to them for $20,000. They may go make $20 or $30 or $40,000 on it. I get my $10,000, and all I had in the deal was just a little bit of sweat equity and some $100.
That is, okay, all right, so that answers my questions. So when you go to, you find the property, you know, you do what, the driving for dollars, you find something.
Don't
you
say
call-
drive by. It makes the property value go down before you sell it.
I lived in California for too long. Okay, so you're driving for dollars, you find a property, you talk to them. So you're in the thing that you're trying to get from them when you have a conversation with the property owner is the contract to then turn around and sell the property.
And we will get to that in just a second.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was looking for.
So all right, so you have
Yeah, the two apps, I will tell you, we got, that are pretty, they're not critical. Just so y'all know, I did this for the first 14 and a half years without internet at all. You don't need a lot of stuff. I didn't have keys to the courthouses, so I could go do research at night. But I had a yellow legal pad and a blue pen and did a lot of deals. So you don't need anything but hustle. But I will tell you, there are two apps that will make your life much easier. The first one is Landglide, and Landglide. And this is all in the presentation we'll post too. But Landglide, what it does is when you zoom in, it shows the property lines. It shows who owns that property. Now keep in mind there is a lag in there. Sometimes it's up to 12 months. Some places it's a little bit longer. But for our purposes and what we do, it works pretty well. So when you pull up Landglide, if you're driving past the property, like what we do is we'll pull up the property on Landglide, and it's right there. It shows us some of the basic information, and then we'll either screenshot it or you can drop a pin on it and put it in a spreadsheet that you can send yourself. That saves a tremendous amount of time. If you guys have been driving for dollars, you know half the time the house is in disrepair and the address isn't there. So it's total game changer, and it has the parcel number on it.
And a lot of times it'll tell you, it'll give you the mailing address, so you can check and see if the mailing address is different than the property address. It means it's absentee owned, because the owner does not live there.
So if you got vacant and absentee, you check two really big boxes. And then the other one is Deal Machine.
Same premise, a little bit more advanced. It lets you basically take pictures of the house, and it'll send a little postcard for you that says, "Is this your house? I may be interested in purchasing." It'll have all your contact information, and you can actually manage your bird dogs inside of that. So you basically give access to as many people as you want, as many of your deal finders as you want, and see where they've been driving, see how many they've sent in. So it basically helps you manage if you do have a bunch of people that send you leads. It helps you manage those leads and figure out what came from where and from who. That way you can pay them out.
All right, so you found the property, you've identified.
You mind if I clarify real quick? Last year, out of all the deals y'all did, how many of them were wholesale? How many deals did y'all do last year?
63?
63 deals in 2018. About how many were wholesale? What percentage?
2/3, a little less than 2/3 probably.
So the majority of your business is wholesaling. So that's where they're not having to pit up money, the full price to buy the property, and they're doing this like quick flip to another investor.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your business were these flips and then rentals.
Which,
Yeah.
just to clarify, we don't, in the last 2 years, I think we put up money for one deal, like our own money, and that was on that was a deal in Tupelo, and it was 23 acres that we got on a new 4-lane highway, and I think our 40% cost us $3,100. So we put our money into that.
Right.
But other than that, our flips, our rentals, we don't put our own money in.
Right, you use other people's money
Yeah.
through private lending. But the point is, so wholesaling is the bread and butter of their business. I think you guys did 1.2 or 1.3 million in gross last year.
Yeah, 1.2.
So they're doing high volume in Hattiesburg, in Mississippi, y'all. All right. What I'm saying is, it's possible. Like they're not in some like they're not in like
Phoenix.
they're not in Phoenix. They're not. It's possible, but here's the thing: is you may say, hey, maybe I'm sitting here and I'm interested in wholesaling, but maybe you're saying I want just to find more deals on my own to buy, right?
Acquisitions
So-
is the key.
Right. The
Not
whole
the
point of
exit
this,
strategy.
right? So wholesaling is the exit strategy of it. This is still though applicable whether you wholesale it or not. If you buy it yourself, because even though I wholesale, I still am a cash buyer. I've already bought a handful of my deals this year myself. You didn't get to see it because I bought it. Like, it didn't go out to nobody because I kept it. You know, like so it's one of those things where just to
I bet they were sweethearts too.
they were sweethearts. It's the house I bought for $0. That worked with my budget. No, I'm sure. You know, but stuff like that. These were ones that I saw great potential in. I was like, yeah, I really like this. But to give you an idea where these guys are, and wholesaling, which a lot of this is applicable to wholesaling, is one of those things where it's understanding that what these guys are sharing though, it's still possible as a cash buyer for you to find, like going driving for dollars. When as a cash buyer, I drive for dollars, but I also do it for wholesaling as well. The other thing though is understanding though as a cash buyer, you most likely don't have the time for this. So there's actually value in the marketplace for wholesalers. We were talking about that at dinner earlier.
Yeah. I've got a minimum of 2 that have talked about trying to put life insurance on me because they're cash buyers. And I can tell you that if something happened to me, their income is going to take a hit.
So one of those things is as cash buyers, some of you guys, you're managing your flips, you're managing your rentals. You just don't have the time to get all these phone calls from sellers or go on all these appointments. And so understand that there is a place in the marketplace for wholesalers to provide immense value both to sellers and to buyers. Make sense? All right. Without further ado.
So let's, oh, go ahead.
One question. Where's the market? Do y'all, look at the different markets? I mean, obviously, Hattiesburg has some goods and bad. You have the university there. Obviously, wider than Hattiesburg, going to Tupelo. Y'all looking at different markets?
Yeah, we got 12 counties, over 13 counties.
Well, we added 2 in North Mississippi.
We're, I think, 15 counties now. But I will tell you, the only reason that we look at those, because we say no a lot. Like, we get probably, 6 to 8 deals a week that get sent to us. A lot of them look like deals, but they're not in our areas. So we just, nope, can't do it. The only reason that we're in all of the markets that we are is because we have somebody on the ground that we trust without question. If that answers your question.
But they're not seeking out like because of a university. They're like, oh, we're not going. I mean, I'm not speaking for them, but from what I know, it is you can find opportunity anywhere.
Oh,
That was a little bit of my point with you do a lot of rural properties and stuff like that from time to time.
Yeah.
You can wholesale anywhere because at the end of the day, Now, some people like, can you wholesale them by the Lusa?
If it's cheap enough,
Yeah.
if the
And
price
it's
is
cheap
right.
as up. So it's like, look, because a lot of people say, oh, the market, because you get people like, you can't invest in my market. There's no buyers in my market. Are people flipping?
Guess what
Do
happens?
people live there?
Do people live there?
As soon as you say you can't, you're exactly right.
Right.
Let me say this, how many of y'all are familiar with Lumberton, Mississippi?
That's what I was just about to.
I have wholesale deals in Lumberton, Mississippi. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm investing in Mississippi, and that's why I'm talking to you about it. I mean, Hospital, Lumberton, and some people,
Not
they don't
Lumberton.
wanna go there. But then you go to Hattiesburg, obviously you have university, but they also have some gyms, what's going on in Lumberton, Hospital, Purpose, obviously. But some people just, they don't know, I'm not going there, but. You know, but just like you said, you know, if you get something at a good enough deal, where you have that margin in it, and you're not, you know, veering away from a certain area, I guess that's what I was.
Yeah, it's typically like, we're not like, so I'm not gonna focus my time, money, and energy in Lumberton to go and find and create opportunities or create deals. We're not gonna spend our time, money, and energy there. If one falls in our lap, which occasionally it does, and it turns out to be a good enough deal, then sure, we'll pursue it. But if it's, I'm not gonna take my time and my money and my energy and send out mailers, make phone calls out there when it's way difficult for somebody to understand that, like, no one wants to be out here. The schools are terrible. Like, as soon as they said they were gonna shut down the school, Purvis and who else was it? Both said, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't want Popperville. They didn't want those students coming to that school. Like, it's that kind of situation, right? I mean, your dad went to go pay the water bill sometime, and they're like, oh, you're actually here to pay a bill?
Yeah, that's a true story.
Yeah.
In Lumberton, we have a laundromat there, and, well, actually, we have the laundromat now. Went in to pay a water bill one day, and people behind the counter were running around frantic, just hectic. And, they said, we'll be with you in just a second. He said, no problem, I'm just here to pay a bill. And you're here to pay a bill? Oh, and immediate service. They didn't want to give him a chance to change his mind. But let's run through some of this real quick, and then we should have time for questions. I think
25 more minutes.
Okay, let's burn through some of this real quick. So you found a lead, and you want to convert it. So the next step is to find the owner. And I will tell you guys, I'm very big on compartmentalizing everything. So like when we go find a property, I'm not doing anything. I'm not looking up comps. I'm not looking at the title. I'm not looking at any records other than to make sure I got the right owner until I find the person I need to talk to. Right? It's very easy to get in that trap. You guys that have done Driver for Dollars and you found good leads, how many of y'all looked up comps or researched the property or tried to estimate repairs and run numbers before you even talked to the people?
Or get out of the house and look around and try to figure out like what's inside and
Well, you could do this with it, you could do that.
yeah, waste your time. You don't even know if they want to sell.
Yeah, so keep it very compartmentalized, but the next step is to find the owner. So I'm just gonna burn through some of this real quick. Skip tracing, obviously, everybody probably knows what skip tracing is, just FYI. Thank you. I didn't know what skip tracing was till January of 2017. Didn't even know there was such a thing. I told him, he was like, yeah, everybody knows about that.
He's like, look, gotta keep this under wraps, can't tell anybody. It's like, what are you talking about?
So skip tracing is like the detective side, where you can go in and you want to pull up their information so that you can contact them. Sometimes it's relatives information. There's a few free ones. FamilyTreeNow.com has some really good info. You got to sort through a bunch of stuff. TruePeopleSearch.com is really good. White Pages Premium is what, $10 a month, $20 a month or something.
It's okay.
REI Skip is really good for batch skip tracing.
You have to have 250.
Yeah, 250 minimum. Lead Sherpa, I think you can do, you gotta do an interview and get set up, but they have really good quality skip tracing. I think you can do smaller batches. 50.
You do what I did today when I had 48. I was like, I'm just gonna type in my
Just
name
random.
twice.
So you probably got a text from Karen today.
And that's why your house got put in the batch.
IDI is a really good one. That's who we use for what we call the one-offs. So like, let's say that we batch skip trace somebody and we're just no hit all the way around. We'll pull them up on IDI. IDI is a lot harder to get, but if you are at that point and you need it, it's very, very
Is
good.
that IDI?
Yeah, ITI, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not quite as
interactive
hard
data
anymore to
incorporated.
get, used to the requirements where you had to have a physical address for your office. You don't have to have that anymore, and I believe they will offer batch. Rates will vary based on how many skip traces you think you'll need per month, right? So obviously the more you buy, the cheaper it is, which RI Skip is backed by IDI, like their data comes from there, but they can sell it to you for much cheaper than you can probably get it because they're buying so much of it at one time, right? I think his bill's like $15,000 a month that he has to pay for X amount of skips, right? But he goes and just resells it.
And I will tell you guys, that's the area that you want to be relentless.
Yeah.
If you find an empty house, don't stop. I've had some of my best deals I had on my list for over a year before I ever got in touch with somebody. And they ended up being some of my best deals because everybody else quit.
And my second deal came from, I couldn't get a hold of the actual owner, so I called her son. Found everything else about it, right? I actually contacted him through Facebook, because I was trying to find a way to get a hold of somebody. Found out we had a mutual friend, contacted that mutual friend and said, hey, how well do you know him? I was like, well, that's the boss's son-in-law. And I knew the boss, so I called the boss up and I said, hey, next time you see him, let him know I'm trying to get in touch with him. Lo and behold, he gives me a ring, right? When your father-in-law tells you need to call somebody, I guess it's important. But, yeah, so don't let up. I hear a lot of people that complain, oh, White Pages sucks, the data sucks, or True People, I can't ever get a bunch of wrong numbers. Well, did you check the relatives? Did you check, go down the list? Somewhere there's, neighbor, there's somewhere in there, there's somebody that's got information on that house that can point you in the right direction. So don't give up just because the first number you call is a bad number. I mean, why stop there?
We've had some really good stories in tracking people down. We had one time, this guy was just a ghost, like could not find him anywhere. Not on Facebook, not on skip tracing. Finally, as a last ditch effort, by the way, if you make friends with the tax collector, tax assessor, so if you go make friends with them, I will tell you that as a last result, a lot of times I've gone down and you can find out who pays the taxes. And when they pay their taxes, at least in Mississippi, typically they'll collect some at least basic information, name, address, and phone number. So that's been very useful. Neighbors are extremely good. Clover leaf around the house, right? The two beside it, the two across the street from that one, and then the one directly across the street from the whatever your subject house is. I had one time. I just could not find this guy. And went and talked to one of the neighbors. He said, oh yeah, he works for Caterpillar and they moved up to such and such with the job. So I called Caterpillar. Because guess what people do at work? Answer the phone. I said, man, I got some urgent news for you. He said, what's that? I said, I want to buy your house before it goes into foreclosure. Had a great conversation. He owed too much, couldn't make it work, but I got a hold of him. Be relentless, because most people will quit. So
What was the one after Family Tree now, the second?
True People Search.
Yeah, True People Search. And then the next thing is you've got to talk to these people. So our script across the board, and there is a copy of the letter that we use in the slideshow that we'll put up. But whether it's a cold call, a door knock, a text message, a Facebook message, a paper airplane, I don't care. The approach is the exact same every single time. And it is the least professional approach you could muster up. I will tell you guys, and I'll let you do it anyway. But I will tell you guys that when I am on the phone, I can tell you, Rick can vouch for this, you can ask me just about any house in Hattiesburg, like if you went driving for dollars in my two counties that I work, ask me about a house you come across. I can tell you the address, I can tell you the backstory, I can tell you what's going on with it, what my progress was and when. Like, I remember them. But when I'm on the phone, I can't remember shit.
By design.
By design. I never have my notes in front of me. I'm always unorganized. And here's why. Because I want them to know from the get-go that I'm not a salesman. I just need help. I'm from Mississippi. Look, you're just talking about it. I'm from Mississippi. I need help. Help me. Right? That's what I'm screaming in my approach, and this is how we do it.
You want a cold call?
Yeah, let's do cold call.
Yeah. So.
Anybody get nervous on cold call? Y'all are some lying folks. Lying. Anybody get nervous? Let me take that back. How many of y'all have made a phone call? A cold call? Alright, so the ones that don't have their hands up are scared. The ones that raise their hand, keep it up if you get a little feeling in the pit of your stomach like, am I really, well, maybe I should do something else for a minute.
You have her with the number, but then you call mom.
Yeah.
You call someone else.
This is the easiest way to do it because you can be yourself and have a little fun with it. Is to be extremely apologetic up front, never be prepared, stutter. I stutter a lot. So, ask for help, keep digging, ask a lot of questions, and be a helper, not a hacker. So we'll kind of go through that real quick. Typically the way it works is I'll give them a call, which I don't really make cold calls anymore. I have a VA for that now, but she's trained on all of this to be extremely apologetic up front. It's like, hey, listen, I don't know if I even had the right number or not, but I was calling about this property located at 123 Main Street. I just wonder if you could help me for a second. Do you know anything about it? And if you're going to add the name, always add the name. Don't ask for their name because that always sounds very salesy, right? Hey, I'm looking to speak to John. Well, you call him John's number. Just always assume you have the right person. And being extreme, I'm very sorry. I hate to bother you. I'm just looking for some help. People tend to want to help you, and all of a sudden there's guards already going down because you don't sound like a normal guy trying to call and sell Terminex or anything. So they're already dropping their guard, and I just wondered if you could help me for a second. I was driving through the neighborhood and I saw this property and I looked it up and it said you were the owner. I didn't know if you had any idea if you wanted to sell it or not. I'm just an investor in the area. I bought one over in the area the other day. I'm looking for another purchase. And it's either yes, no, or go F yourself. One or the other, right? You're going to get a lot of no's. That's fine. Move on to the next one, right? But you get a lot less aggressive no's when you're extremely apologetic and you're kind of stuttering, you sound unprepared. People are kind of feel sorry for you, right?
I can read one of those texts for you if you want. Sent me one about a month ago.
We did?
Property, yeah.
I sent you a text?
Adam, whoever Adam is.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Which property was it?
Liberty Road, Mississippi.
That's funny. No, it's
Hey, no,
it's funny.
was it really me or was it Karen? Oh.
Was it a text message?
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny because there's actually some of you guys that I marketed to, and then like I get talking with an investor, I'm like, oh well, they're not necessarily a motivated seller, so I'm like, you want to come to the meeting?
Come to the meeting.
Come to the meeting.
Yeah.
And then we get talking, and then half the time I'm like, oh, well, I called you about your house and your rental or whatever. Because that's the other side. If they're not a motivated seller, sometimes you come across, say an investor who owns a property, like me and them back there.
Yeah, and the text is pretty much almost exactly the same without the ums and the stutter, obviously. But it's like...
We should try an in a text message. Hey, don't be scared to be extreme. I'm telling y'all. Oh, see, there it is.
See, there it is.
I was texting about...
Hold on. Simple dots. Anyways, so the text message is basically the same exact thing. It's, hey, Susan, I'm sorry to bother you, or hey, I forget exactly what it says, but I'm sorry to bother you. I don't even know if I have the right number, but I'm calling or texting about this property located. I wonder if you had some information on it, if you even had any interest in selling. Very simple. If you guys are in the real estate roundup group, you can actually download the script that we use for our text messages. Right now, the way it works, the way our funnel works, it used to be, when he was doing it, it was all just mail, very targeted mail. Then it got into, when I came on, I brought my co-caller with me from South Carolina. She's already trained, let's keep her on board, let's go. So she started doing the cold calling, and now it's all text. Anybody that doesn't respond to text gets a cold call. Anybody that's responding to cold call gets mail.
And they continue to get mailed
Until they tell us to
respond.
go. Yeah, until they tell us to go screw ourselves.
Do that one more time, Brent. What's that cycle? One more time.
So it's text first. Didn't respond to text, you get a cold call. So I'll let that text season. So we'll run through a campaign of text for, after a week after I went through that whole campaign, then we'll put it into the cold call rotation. So it's not like I'm bombarding people that I just text as well. So anybody that responds gets a cold call, and then anybody that doesn't respond to the cold call gets put on the mail list.
I'm gonna mention this Wild Wild West right now.
Yeah, it is the Wild Wild West right now, so if you are looking to get into text messaging, Lead Chirper is a great resource. It is a little bit expensive. It's like $500 a month, but it's extremely powerful, and it's probably only going to last for about 8 or 10 more months before everybody's on board, and then before either gets banned or too many people are doing it.
So there's certain
Or it's
things.
oversaturated.
There's certain things out there like text blast,
RVMs.
ringless voicemails. What's the other? Not ringless voicemail, but the other one.
Voice broadcast.
Yeah, voice broadcast. Even cold calling to a degree is getting. So when you go those routes, know that there is actual litigation. I hired them as coaches. I've hired other coaches, and one of my coaches, in our mastermind group, the guy was cold calling, and he's currently, in litigation for it. He was just calling motivated sellers. So know that, just like any other business, you're not without some risk, right? Like you need to be, what I want to say is you want to make sure you understand what you're getting into to a degree. I'm not saying you have to have all the answers, but understand, which is why a team is really important. Having a good team around you, like a title attorney, good CPA, things like that, because some of the stuff you want to run by. Louisiana, they're in Mississippi. Most of the stuff they're saying, I was kind of like, hey, I'm going to shut up, let them talk. But some of it, when it comes to Louisiana, is completely different. And so there's some things you're learning on the internet, it's not going to apply to Louisiana.
We had somebody from Department of, what were they? Consumer Services or something?
Commerce?
Somebody from state government called us and spoke to our league manager and was asking, what are y'all doing? You need to
Public
register.
Service Commission.
Yeah,
That's
Public
it.
Service Commission. What y'all doing is illegal. You got to register for this, register for that. Well, the law specifically states that soliciting, at least in Mississippi, is selling goods or services over the phone. Well, I'm not selling anything, right? So it's kind of gray there, but luckily my wife's an attorney, so she ran us through everything. It's like, all right, we're
back into black and white.
Yeah, we're gold, right? We're golden because I'm not selling anything. But there are services that can be considered illegal if you are using like a automated text system to where you just hit a button and it sends 1,000 text messages at one time instead of hitting. It's really weird, but the law is people skirt around it by, like Lead Chirper is, you have to hit the send button every single time. But literally, I can send 100 in like 10 seconds because I can hit the button that fast, right?
Yeah.
But that makes it legal. Little things like that are what's important. Now, it won't take long. The government will come in and figure out a way to ruin it for everybody. But mainly because there was a lot of people who are abusing it. I'm pretty sure if any of you are like me, you probably get 20 phone calls a day from somebody trying to sell you something. Happens all the time.
Real quick,
We
got
had something
10
real
minutes
quick.
left.
What's the name of the text?
Lead Sherpa.
Lead Sherpa. Give us just a second.
That's all right, okay.
Yeah, because from after 8:30, we'll have some time.
Yeah, so 8:30 we're gonna cut it off. They're gonna hang out and kind of spend a little bit more time. But real quick, while we're on the topic of regulation, wholesaling in general is there. So if you're a licensed realtor, you are regulated by the Louisiana Real Estate Commission, okay? And then whatever state you're in, Mississippi, whatever. So realtors, they've got courses they have to attend, they've got laws they have to abide by, things like that. When it comes to wholesaling, there's not a wholesaling commission, right? But what I will say this is, marketplace-wise, there's a level of ethics and morals that is required. Meaning, for example, so there's some arguments out there. So if you're saying we buy houses, but you have no money in the bank, is that all right? A lot of times what I do is I personally have cash to a degree, but I have access to capital through private lenders, hard money lenders, loan, whatever, right? So there's things, when it comes to wholesaling, for those of you who are looking to use wholesaling as the exit strategy, that understanding wholesaling is really high. This is the first, the Rio's been open a year and a half, almost whatever, a year and a half or so. This is the first time I think I've done wholesaling at the main event for a reason, because it's really hot right now. But there's a lot of people in the marketplace right now that are doing things that are, say, unethical or whatnot. So it can give a bad name to wholesalers.
Yeah.
For example, you're getting a property under contract, and the owner is packing up, getting ready to move out, and then you can't find a buyer. And Miss Susie had already got her eyes settled on this house she's going to buy, and she's packed up, ready to move out. So what I'm going to say is
We watched one, just to add on to that, I watched somebody who went in, got a contract on a house, and the people bought a house, and they couldn't close it.
Right. And so they're already making, so what I'm going to say is across the board, any chance I get, I'm going to get up here and say, I'm going to use this as a little bit of a soapbox and say, let's make sure we're keeping it clean in the marketplace. Whether you're wholesaling, you're a landlord, you're a flipper, because it's one of those things where you may be like, hey, it's a shark eat shark world, it's whatever, but when it comes down to it, this is what I love about these guys. Did you not hear that? They did 1.3 or 1.2 whatever million last year, but they did a lot of deals for free. What does that mean? They helped the seller, and they flipped it to someone else, or whatever. They helped the seller, and they didn't get money in their pocket. If you're not willing to do that, this may not be the right industry for you, because one of the biggest things about wholesaling is you are helping distressed sellers with distressed properties. And so that is a huge part about it. Like, for example, things like, and I'm going to let you guys get back to it, but things like pre-foreclosure, if you have not done a single deal, please do not. I'm going to ask you this, and they may not, I don't know if that's where they stand on it, but I'm going to ask you to not go after pre-foreclosures, because that is an actual skill. Knowing how to stop a foreclosure, and that is a very difficult life event someone is going through. But on the internet, they're like, go find the pre-foreclosure list. But then people would, I literally get text, and I don't mind if you guys text me or message me on Facebook, but I get people who are like, hey, I'm with this seller right now, and I'm helping them stop their foreclosure. How do I stop a foreclosure? And I'm like,
the wrong time.
the wrong time to ask that question is when you're in front of a seller. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to have all the answers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
My
When you're-
suggestion would be, if you're dead set on going after pre-foreclosures, bring somebody in like Courtney to help you get a few done. That way you can learn and get paid to learn, which is, I mean, what better way can you do it, right?
Because we do have a few people in our markets that, like, they will go and make contact with whoever the seller is or potential seller is in a pre-foreclosure situation. And what they do is they make contact and say, hey, I work with somebody who has stopped these in the past. Can we set up a meeting just to see if they'd be able to help you? Totally different approach, and then call somebody that knows what they're doing.
And the sales at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, please don't call me at 9, because I do get those phone calls. 9 a.m. before the sale is too late.
Well, a lot of times that's the seller's fault.
Right, it's a sales part. But you know what I mean? Anyway, so does that make sense? There are some types of sellers. They're talking about driving for dollars. There are actually like lists and stuff that you can buy. But when it comes to stuff like pre-foreclosures, there's certain things that are, it takes another level of knowledge. If you're not doing normal transactions, just like the house is messed up, the person, lives out of state, needs to sell or whatever, just be mindful. Just because I know people come to me and they're like, I'm getting to hear, not only from experience, so I'm getting to hear about some stories in the marketplace, and so I'm doing whatever I can to say, guys, let's keep it ethical. Let's make sure we're helping sellers, and let's make sure that we're helping in our community. Because don't get me wrong, we want to see these houses that are in distress, So where someone's put it back in commerce and stuff like that. But what we don't want to see is basically people getting taken advantage. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I'm happy to clarify it at another time. I'm gonna let these guys finish out.
And essentially, I mean, I grew up, my reputation is everything. That's the only thing you can take with you. And that's the only thing that stays behind. So I never wanted to put anything under contract that I cannot close on, whether if I have to close on it myself or figure out a way to close on it. I will not put something under contract that I don't think is a deal, or that, like Adam always says, would you buy it using your grandmother's money? If the answer is no, not a deal.
It doesn't pass the grandma test.
All right, so let's talk about some minimum goals.
I know.
And look, again, we're gonna post this on,
I'll put it on the website
Facebook
and on the
group,
Facebook.
website.
Yep.
And then also, there's a lot of information that'll fill in the gaps. If y'all do YouTube, go to Wholesale Hackers. We've got tons of videos on there that y'all can go watch. Everything's free. But so let's talk about consistency. Because anything that you want to do will only work if you're doing it consistently. Right? That's more important than even doing it correctly most of the time.
That's actually, I would say, more important than doing it correctly.
More important than doing it correctly. So, minimum goals, and then Brent's going to talk to you about tracking them, especially for you new guys. I can tell you 100% that tracking in the beginning and getting in the habit is much easier than trying to track that stuff when you've been doing it a while. I'm a perfect example. I never tracked anything. I just knew that I was making a lot of money. And what I was doing was working. But that's not a scalable thing, right? Which doesn't make any sense. I did it in all my other businesses, but real estate, I was just like, oh, this is a deal. Oh, this is a
And
deal.
how are you gonna go sell that if you ever wanted to sell the business?
Yeah. So let's talk about the game plan for getting one house a month every single month. All right? We've talked about driving for dollars, 25 good quality driving for dollars leads every week.
You can do
Right?
that.
How many of y'all have not done a deal? Keep your hands up if you want to do a deal. All right, write this down. 25 driving for dollars leads a week. Right? Not you drove past one and there's grass is a little high. I'm talking about a drive for dollars lead. Right? I want some tall grass. In the summertime, I won't be scared to walk up to the front door like overgrown. 25 a week, that's going to get you roughly 100 a month. If you are vigilant about contacting those people and going through that process, you should end up with a deal a month.
At least. Probably
you can
more.
suck really bad
Yeah.
and get a deal a month.
Wait,
Okay?
say that again, you can run?
You can suck
I love
bad. Right? So in insurance, right? We used to train some of our salespeople 2 different ways, right? If their biggest thing was talking to people face to face, guess what we did? We went door knocking. Guess what their opening line was? You don't want to buy some insurance, do you? And we did it as an exercise because people said, no, that can't be the pitch. No, that's not right. And that's what we made them do. You don't want to buy some insurance, do you? Because guess what? Inevitably, somebody's going to say yes. Right? And we did the same thing with the phone book. I guess everybody knows what the phone book is. I had a 10-year-old at home who asked me the other day, what is a phone book? So, but we used to do that with the phone book. If you're calling, pick up the phone. Hey, you don't want to buy some insurance, do you? Nope, okay. Sooner or later, somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, that sounds nice. But minimum, that's going to get you 1 deal a month. Now, there's more in the process. You've got to learn how to qualify. You've got to learn your processes. You've got to learn how to run ARV and estimate repairs, which we have videos about.
Yeah.
But that should get you 1 deal a month. Our average deal size is $8 grand.
We can go into another whole conversation about that.
But but 1 deal a month at our average deal size, which y'all's is going to be about the same, I would imagine. That's 96 grand a year, and you haven't had to do a whole lot.
We find 25 good driving dollar leads in a couple hours.
Yeah, we can.
And again, legal pad and blue pen.
Yep.
You don't have to go and spend all this crazy money on all the systems. They're there, and it'll real quick empty out the bank account.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I need to look at what my monthly expenses are again, but it got there really quickly when I started, buying the lead Sherpa, the different things like that. Real quick, it'll climb up there. You don't gotta have it. And that's the difference. What I always say is the difference between doing this as a hobby and doing this as a full-time job. It's two different things. Okay?
Yeah, and I will say this, we're talking about what you just said. So when we had the 1.2 million, we said last year, it was actually 2 years ago, it was 20, was it last
No,
year?
it was last year.
It was last year.
That was last year.
You know what our marketing expenses were? Anybody care to guess?
10,000.
All right, we got a 10,000,
25.
Go on.
2,500
For the year?
For the year.
for the year.
$250,000.
How much?
$250,000.
Okay, $250,000,
200.
200. Anybody else?
1,000.
Who said 10,000? You get the vote. We spent, now look, you were closest, Price is Right style.
Yeah.
We spent, it was right at $23,000.
Do you have something, any literature that shows, your process for follow-up? Is that those best practices or whichever?
So I would say if you're strictly just doing drive for dollars, you should mail or call that lead every single month until they tell you to stop calling. At least once a month, at least.
And I can tell you, I've learned that the hard way.
What'd you spend your 22,000 on?
A lot of bird dog fees, because we have a lot of referrals that come in, and then very targeted direct mail.
Tori's right, that's smart money. I just wrote a $500 check to someone, and she was like, she didn't want to take it, and I saw it hit like 3 weeks later. Like, it's kind of like she walked around like, I feel bad taking this, and then trying to cash it because it was burning her pocket. But immediately, she sent me like 6 other properties, because it's like really good. It like really motivates her to go, well, I know about this other place. I can tell you about some more.
That was really easy. We should do that again.
Right.
Can anybody tell me, we're talking about tracking and managing, right? So can anybody tell me, anybody here know what KPIs are? What does KPI stand for?
Key performance indicator.
Right, so this is why it's important to start tracking at a very early stage. If I know that if I get 100 drive for dollars leads, that turns into 10 appointments, and 10 appointments turns into 1 deal, well then I know if I get 200, now if I'm doing that consistently every single month, and if I get 200 leads, drive for dollars leads every single month, well that should be 2 deals, right? So your 3 biggest key performance indicators that you should always be tracking is what your cost per lead is. So that means how much did I spend to get a lead?
You want to define what a lead is?
And a lead is somebody that is actually wanting to sell. Now it could be, and this is talked about in every single mastermind I've ever been in. What do you call a lead? What do you qualify a lead? Anyone that shows any interest in selling their home, whether it's retail or not, I consider it a lead. Because they actively filled out a form or called us or responded to a mail piece or whatever. I consider that a lead. If they came to us and they had a house to sell, whether it was retail or not, or even above retail sometimes, because people are crazy, I always ask them how they came about that number. Then I ask them if they'll come and praise all my houses for me. So cost per lead is a big one, right? I need to know how much money it costs me to generate a lead per every marketing channel that I have. So if I'm doing mail, I send out 10,000 pieces, it costs me X amount of dollars. How many phone calls did I get, or submissions that I get online that generated that lead, right? So how much did that cost me? Our average cost per lead, like right now for Facebook, is around $15, which is super cheap. So if you have a little bit of knowledge on Facebook, jump on there, start using it. It's very powerful and it's extremely cheap right now because not everyone is in on it. And most people say it doesn't work. Then you want to know what your cost per deal is, right? How many leads does it take for me to get a deal? So now if I know it costs me $100 for every lead, it takes me 10 leads to get 1 deal, well then I know it costs me $1,000 to get that deal. This is where you can start losing money and not know it, because you can easily start getting really fancy on your systems, spending a lot of money on marketing, and you're getting deals, and you might make 20 or 30,000 when your marketing expense might have actually been 25,000 or 30,000, right? So it seems like you're making money, but you're not. It's really easy for those numbers to start kind of jumping. And the third one is your average deal size. So those are the three things you want to track the most. You can get really granular with it. I mean, if I showed you guys my scorecard right now, it would probably blow your freaking mind open.
That intimidates the hell out of me.
It's only about 10 Excel sheets long, and it's got all kinds of graphs, and I mean, it's insane. But I'm tracking everything because I want to know what everything is doing on a daily basis. I want to know what my VA is doing on a daily basis. How many calls did she make? How many bad numbers did she get? How many contacts did she get? How many leads did she generate? How many do not calls did she get? Right? So I can go back and pull that report every single month and say, okay, I know for every 5,000 phone calls we make to generate this many leads turns into this many deals. How do I scale that? Now it's just a math problem. Right? If it costs me $1,000 to get a deal, if I spend $2,000, it should be 2 deals. Right? On each form of marketing. Now I know, until I get to that point of no return and I'm tracking it every single month, I know whether or not, what the point of no return is. So if I keep bumping it up every single 2 or 3 months, keep bumping my budget up, and I finally hit a wall, and I don't see any extra return from it, I know I can take that excess money and go put it into another form of marketing. And if I can give you any advice, you should only pick, if you're only just beginning, you should only focus on 2 forms of marketing at one time. And I always say pick a passive one and an active one. The passive one would be something like PPC or Facebook or whatever, where people come to eat bandit signs, where people actually, take their time and initiative to call you, right? Everything else is cold calling, text messaging, it's actively pursuing and getting the deal, drive for dollars, whatever the case may be, actively pursuing and getting deals. So only 2 forms. The reason I say that is because if you do like I did, I had a really good job, I was making good money on the side, doing wholesaling. I took all that money and was dumping into every new system, marketing technique that you could possibly do, right? Made money, but I was burning through tons of it because I couldn't be consistent at the things that I was doing. So when I backed up and I punted, I said, I'm going to be the best at PPC in my market. So that's what I did. So I started out spending around $1,500 to $2,000 a month. No one was doing it at the time in my market. And then I opened my mouth and told everybody, hey, PPC is the greatest thing ever. Next thing you know, everybody's in, and my cost went up to about $8,000 a month. But I was still making around $30,000 a month on that $8,000 spend.
I'll do that all day long.
And it kept going up to the point where I finally was like, all right, y'all getting a little too crazy for me around here. Because if you have a bad month or two and you're spending $15,000 just on one form of marketing, it can start. One bad month or two will start really hurting.
Start pumping up a little bit.
So one of the things is these KPIs, scorecard, these are business terms, and this is where you get with the difference between doing this as a hobby and building a business. Building a business, we all do this full time, and I don't even know how many hours we work a week.
No, you know the definition of entrepreneur, right? Somebody that works 80 hours for themselves to avoid working 40 hours for somebody else.
Look. So it's to that. So understand, getting to volume does not come with 25. Getting to big volume is not just a few hours a week here and there. It takes effort and design. Does that make sense? I want to just because the internet says flashy Lamborghini. You do this, you're going to be making $1 million a year.
Like my $120,000 wholesale fee is like, that's not a wholesale fee.
So there's this thing where there's this seat out there, okay? And so understand there is a factor of this where it is just building a business. And that's where it comes with employees, business expenses, maybe an office. Like it actually scaling it is difficult, and it's a business venture. One last thing for you before we go ahead and say, what is something that you find that people who are starting out, what do you think that they often fail at?
Focus.
Now I got to come up with something.
So focus.
Focus is always the number one. Being too hopeful.
Yeah.
Be a realistic and conservative, not hopeful. And don't, you know what? 2 things. They get too hopeful in their numbers, and they get too greedy on their fees. I've watched more wholesalers in the last 6 months lose a deal completely because they were so greedy about it on the front end when they could have sold it in a day and made 8 or 10 grand.
Exactly.
I could probably list off
At least 6.
6 or 7, yeah,
Right.
easy.
And here's the thing, that goes with joint ventures too. A lot of people are scared to joint venture with someone because they don't want to share their fee. But then they yet don't do, half of something is better than all of nothing. And so when I joint venture, so people all the time, they're like, hey, can you walk me through my first deal? If I was helping all of you through your first deal, I would not get through my business day, right?
Yeah.
And so I say, hey, I'm willing to joint venture with people where we split the profit. Is that like fair, right? Like as my business, my family putting food on my table, I don't mind taking phone calls, but I can't walk everyone through every deal because then it's like, oh, I didn't go on any appointments
I mean, I
today.
can show you my inbox. if
I can
you
show
want
you,
Yeah.
right. And so it's one of those things where know that there's a level where you can go farther and it's beneficial. Look, I pay for conferences, I pay for coaches, things like that because it's worthwhile and it gets me farther.
That's what amazes me sometimes with the mindset there. People will say, oh, I don't want to give up half my wholesale fee. Well, number one, you hadn't gotten anything yet. And number two, that's the same person that went to $8,000 a semester college. Like, you can get paid to learn in the real estate game.
Right.
Partnered up with somebody that knows what the heck they're doing and still get half of a deal.
Yeah, I mean,
So on that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead. We actually went over about 15 minutes. These guys are.
question?
I know they're gonna hang out for a little bit and answer some questions, but a few things. If you want to get some information, we do have it over here. Like as far as some of those sponsor cards, if you wanted to come and get like the CPA's card or whatever, my card's over here. Thank you guys for coming. This coming Tuesday, we have the Lunch and Learn, and then on Saturday, the 20th, we're doing the Build and Brew with Habitat for Humanity. If you're seriously considering that, you need to pre-register, so get with me on that. But other than that,
Say that one.
Hey, Courtney,
Oh.
can you get the date and time of the event they're gonna be in Mississippi again? That event
It's
coming up?
October 25th, 26th, and 27th, and if you want tickets, you can get them at www.rerlive.com.
Alright guys, so on our website you can see the upcoming events. Saturday, June 20th is the Habitat for Humanity event. Other than that, you guys, thank you for coming. Have a great night.
Stick around, man.
I told you.
She owns property in Oklahoma, that's what I'm.
That's all. And so, and like I said, I hope the sense of like, it's not something, it's still something I'm learning to do as far as saying to one of the techniques. Because, thank you. You guys have a great night. You're welcome. It's just one of those things where, because it happens in the industry, and I just have to talk about it before. Because it's one of those things where I want to see those people like things like that. And so I was talking about everybody having people on the screen. What does that look like? It's going to be something. So that's all. You might not think it's a big deal, that is, but I want to just have like and say, hey, all the things checked. So I hope I didn't scare you, but it's just something. Yeah. So is it your first deal in general, or first time? Last name again? Okay, I'm gonna bring down. And yeah, and like, find someone who's experienced that you trust. Maybe you have someone. So one of the things I wish I could do is one's getting in. Yeah, so whether that or your so here's the thing is we're working with everyone. So I like to look at and I've talked really well since I just I don't trust every business people. And so it's a learning curve for me business wise as but it's one of those things where it's like even third party like a step test. Third party kind of checks out. I didn't want you to lose at all. Yeah, and it was because we had a joint venture contract together, and it was one of those things where instead of somebody else, instead of doing the thing with me, and we had to write it up. So one of the things was, and we actually had two deals on the side right now. If it's just about having a personal pocket, that's not how I do business. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where, because like for example, if I have a deal, and I have a contract, and I've assigned it, you guys do right back for me, and he comes over and says, I have literally talked to the whole group. Like I get legally, but also ethically, like are you even considering that? Like I think that there's part of me that like that's just hard to even considering just because I don't know something raise me or whatever. Just not a lot of times like that. It's like the first thing in my mind. It's like, oh no, I'm like this guy. I said I'm gonna sell to these people. I don't care what this guy's you know, like so. And so,
anyway, the third Monday
I have literally had you're probably not fit for this industry because I had a guy who was like either one of those to maybe competition. Like that's just not good, right? Right. It has to be a win-win-win. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you may still be able to find a good deal with him. I would just say get, do this mess as well. Check out here and there. I only do the first one, the tri-pair structural. And I just decided to get a deal. That's an offer tomorrow. These, I think, are what, St. Tammy's my primary, St. Louis my secondary, so
That aspect of it.
okay, so it's kind of, you know, what we do is, if you just keep making sure you have information, just want to make sure you're doing it for the guys and stuff, but you can choose. Yeah, and then, you just call me and say, hey, we're looking for a guy that
I used to ask for money
I have
for
people
stuff
do
or
that,
whatever.
and it's like, no, okay, yeah.
So the phone calls, oh, I have no. So when y'all said that, I was like,
He's
this
like,
way I called
this
you.
is already from the newer, this one doesn't already, it needs to be made out of, you know, needs to be a slab, house, 42, 14 or 15 or more. I mean, it's like, yeah, all these things are like, you record it, you can do it, you know, that's not a big deal for me. I'm a very wealthy buyer. I used to coach upward as well, away, and then I coached as well. It's a lot of fun. You guys have a good night, okay? Well, like Alex should be speaking. Yeah. Alright, well, you're welcome.
I'm sure we're gonna get it right now.